Hello everyone, and today is the last Beast of Nurgle that I'm going to paint, probably. And it's going to be done right. I'm going to get my white Beast of Nurgle with a bit of sickly green. And so I've already assembled the entire model. He's Finecast. Please God, let this be the last Finecast model I have to deal with. He's primed with Bright Touch General Purpose Gray Car Primer, and here's a list of all the paints I used, and ones even that I didn't showcase because I just do the base that I've done usually for my Nurgle army, and so I didn't bother showing the video on how to do that. Alright, with Eshin Gray, Gray Sear, White Scar White, we're going to do the pre-coating. So we're going to use an airbrush, and we're going to apply Eshin Gray on the underside to create the shadow, Gray Sear from up above to create the light values, so we have light to dark, and then with White Scar White with a dry brush, and we're going to apply liberally all over to pick up every single little edge and fine thing scattered throughout, because it's really the only way I can really do any good detail on these models. Alright, with Beeltan Green and Lamian Medium, I applied this onto the model. So basically what I did was I mixed a tiny little Beeltan Green and a lot of Lamian Medium. It's more like I got some Beeltan Green in my Lamian Medium. It's so thinned down, and I applied it all over the model, everywhere, just to give it a dousage of green. But it's thin enough that it won't completely change the color of the model, heavily. I then go back and dry brush again, White Scar White, all over, mostly focusing on the more raised areas. So this is a more lighter dry brushing, but I wanted to get it everywhere to pick out more of the details and stuff. Then I went back to the Beeltan Lamian Medium mix, and I just added a little bit extra onto his head tentacles, and in some areas just add a little bit more shadow. Alright, with Skeleton Horn Contrast and Lamian Medium, we are going to add a little bit of tan to him. So essentially what happens is I'm going to take some Skeleton Horn Contrast, and I'm going to add a lot of Lamian Medium. We're making it very diluted. We're also going to add a little bit of water to help it flow. And we're going to apply this on like his back slug shell thing, some parts around his wrists, elbows, places where there are folds on his body, stuff like that. It's super thinned down. We just want to add a little bit of color, just a little bit. Alright, with Guilliman Flesh and Lamian Medium, we are going to basically do the exact same thing we've been doing before. So with incredibly watered down Guilliman Flesh with some water and a lot of Lamian Medium, we're going to apply this some areas of his tentacles, some areas where there's boils and stuff, the flesh holes on his chest, stomach, I don't know what that is. Some areas here and there. It's just to add a little bit of color here and there. And it's super diluted so that it only like changes its, I guess, like tone. Yeah. Alright, with Cadian Flesh and Guilliman Flesh and Lamian Medium, we're going to paint his tongue and the mandible thingies that are around there. Alright, so here's basically what happens. Cadian Flesh tone as a base layer, and Guilliman Flesh diluted with Lamian Medium to make it flow better, and mine is actually pretty bad and it needs to be diluted. I need to get a new one. And essentially what happens is, basically apply Cadian Flesh tone, apply the wash, highlight the Cadian Flesh tone, reapply wash, re-highlight. You can do it as many times as you like, but I did it just like once or twice because I wanted the tongue to be lighter overall. I didn't want that much depth and shadow in it. And then with Pallid Witch Flesh, I give him some pearly whites with these fine camera angles. This is the one tricky thing that's always hard for me to get, getting good camera angles of the stuff, because it's just how it happens. Alright, with Steel Legion Drab, Baneblade Brown, Carrickstone, and Ushabti Bone, we're going to do the nails and the tusks. Yeah. So here's basically what they do. I apply Steel Legion Drab all over, then Beyblade Brown 2/3 of the way up, and then Carrick Stone on the last third. Then I take Ustabi Bone and I place it on the tips of each husk and nail, whatever. And then I paint lines going from the back, going all the way to the front. One along, if there's any sharp edges on it, I apply it there. If there's flat planes, I place it in the middle of the plane and stuff like that. And it kind of works out. They're a bit asymmetrical, but yeah. Unfortunately, I'm beginning to notice that my fine detail brush is really... it's been serving me for 3 years, but the fine detail on it is a little bit weak. I might need to get a new replacement. Alright, I pause for the night, get a fresh pair of eyes on it the next day, and it looks a little too white and I think a little bit blue. Maybe it's just my eyes. So then I go back with the Beal Tan Green and Lamy Meaning thing, super dilute it, and apply it in a lot of places to add just a little bit of extra green to it. Just a little. And then once that's done, I threw together a Nurgle base that's usual for my army, and then I super glued them onto it. Alright, with AK Interactive Ultra Matte Varnish and Liquitex Gloss Varnish, we seal the model. So with AK Interactive Ultra Matte Varnish, I apply this all over the body to seal it in and to get rid of any shine. Then with Gloss Varnish, I apply this all over his tongue, tusks, and... yeah, that's about it. Alright, it's done. Finally, the last of the old Beasts of Nurgles I have. Now have a squad of 4 of them. 1 of them is metal, 3 are the Finecasts. Man, it's a good callback to a... It's a style. There's a style that is missing from a lot of the new Games Workshop stuff. They've improved in a lot of ways, but they got rid of some things that had a certain charm. I mean, they were ugly as sin, but like... they had a nice charm. So, this is my last of the Beasts of Nurgle. I am done. I painted everything up from that old stuff. This is for my personal army. I won't be selling it. But, moving on, if it comes soon enough. So, I'll either be hitting my, whatchamacallit, Pile of Shame. Yeah, that thing again. Or, something new I bought, of course, to add to my Pile of Shame. And, yeah, I have 4 of these boys. Finally glad to have them finished. Overall, painting these is what I've really learned is like how Games Workshop has changed in their model stuff. They've changed their aesthetic a little bit. Like I put it on my Instagram, by the way. I have an Instagram which I show the done pictures at the end, and they're usually posted on the day that they're finished, not necessarily the day that the video comes out, although most of the time that aligns. In this case, these models, I wish they would take the spirit of these old models and remade the Beast of Nurgle with that idea in mind, because with all the new details and stuff like this, if they remade this model with this style, demeanor, like how he looks and stuff, with the new tech and the new stuff, I think the model would be incredible. He'd be like a slug demon and stuff. I think they'd be a lot better than the current Beast of Nurgle, which looks really dopey and just... It doesn't fit. There's just something about it I just don't like. But anyway, so like the video if you like the video, comment if you want to comment, share it if you want to share it, and more to come. Well, we'll see. Depending on how fast shipping is, it'll depend on what my next project is. Bye.